The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a good week. I think it was a little bit more kinder to us this week than previous weeks. However, could someone just put their hands up that you can hear there's decent volume going on? Fantastic. Thanks, Jimmy. Okay, so we can start from here. Now, as usual, I've got the disclaimer up and running, so I hope everybody had a chance to have a read of it, as this is general investment advice, not personal advice, as I do not know your personal circumstance. I do not want to know your personal circumstance, so just general investment advice, no more than that. Okay, let's get on. I'll just switch over to the main screen, and on the anticipation that everybody's read the disclaimer, understands it very clearly. Okay, let's start main screen. Okay, now I've got the Dow on, so again, we'll start off with the monthly. Now, I've actually been asked, could I do some of these, what the long-term forecast is also. So I'm going to sort of talk about it just to give you the idea on pretty much all the stocks that we do and currency and the Dow and so forth. But primarily, I'll say what the long-term should be without saying how long it's going to take, because I really don't know that. I can make some judgments if I can. If I see them, I will do that. Now, just by looking at the Dow Jones monthly, let's go to the monthly chart. Right. You know, what is the potential? Is this thing going to tip over more? Is it going to consolidate? What are we talking about here? You know, these are the questions that we should be asking ourselves, okay? Now, even though we're looking at the Dow, I keep saying if you want to look at long term, just have a look at the Chinese economy. That's the real barometer these days. If there's economic growth, if it's slowing down, based on what's happening there, it's pretty much affecting everybody else. Ask why? Well, if we look at when we had the downturn, the 2007, when everything just went and fell away, well, for those that are not aware, who actually saved us were the Chinese. By their spending, they actually saved our economy. And the US was a bad blow, but again, because of what the Chinese were doing, pretty much softened everything up and made it not as bad as it could have been. From Australia's perspective, they were pretty much our lifesavers. If it wasn't for them, we would have tipped over ages ago. So I guess when you look at long term, you know, we can't really expect much. If the Chinese economy is slowing down and we depend on them here, well, heck, you know, just look at the Aussie dollar. That's the reason it went down there, is expect it less, because we pretty much export most of that iron ore, everything else to China. So it's telling us we don't have, you know, long-term upside. And that's what I've been saying. When you look at the Dow, this is a fantastic rising wedge. And literally, it's textbook stuff, okay? You've got 1, 2, 3 touches. Touch there is the fourth, then went up and then broke down. This is textbook stuff. On the top, you got 1, 2, potentially close to 3 touches. Okay, so this is telling us overall the Dow is going lower. Okay, the Dow is going lower. In fact, if the interest rates actually start to go up, you'll see it lower. Now, I'm betting that interest rates ain't going to be going up tomorrow night. If anything, it'll be December, January, maybe even February. So this is why I said in the last webinar, we really should be seeing a rally. You know, I thought it might have started even earlier than last week. I suppose it really did. If you look at the tail here, let me just remove the line. So if you look at this tail, it started from last month. As you can see, it recovered to that level. So the rally started last month or near the end of last month and it's carrying over here. I would expect that it would actually rally at least till closer to this line, maybe a bit below it, but closer towards that line. Now, in saying that, I would suspect that's what the ASX 200 index will do also, as we'll get to it. Now, going to the weekly, we can see how this is anticipating. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, basically. all this occurred here. And of course, we saw it 5 weeks when this occurred. Remember, we're saying this is huge consolidation, and really we expect it to go lower, and sure enough, it has. In fact, if we were targeting this, the old method, straight down to the break point, and there's the original target of that range. So basically, it came to the target, consolidated, and I'm betting again it's heading for this area here at least. All right, as a straight line. Now, it could go a bit higher than that, but that's what I'd be looking at. Now, how long it's going to stay there, up and down, look what it did here. And I'm betting that if they announce this Friday that we've got no plans anytime soon to raise interest rates, we'll visit it in a month or 2 months, I'm suspecting it'll come up here and starts consolidating. That's what we want, and that might give us this extra chance for those that are interested in going short to do something about it. Because when you look at this overall, this is a downer, not an up move. All right, so long term, I say sideways to down. Okay, that's what I'm really looking at. Going to a daily, what is there to tell us it's going higher? Well, you can see it's broken out of this triangle, and we have to target this. Well, from there, breakout, there you go. So if we draw this line forward, of course, that pretty much sort of, okay, it's telling us we really should be looking here and consolidating. Okay, so back around the 17,000 mark, 17.2, 17.3 or thereabouts. Now, I expect a bit of volatility up and down. I don't see any smoothness, but that's what I'd be looking at. Now, let's have a look at the S&P 500. We really shouldn't be expecting any difference now, should we? Again, beautiful rising wedge. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 support points. Now, if you've got such a support area, 5 of them, and then it breaks below, well, you would expect it's all over. And of course, on the top, you got 1, 2, pretty 3, 4, close to 5 touches even on top. All right, so it's telling us there's more to go down. Okay, anything is consolidation. Is it going to go way down here? Truthfully, I don't know. I have no idea. But long term, it's sideways to down. Okay, looking at the weekly, pretty much resembling the Dow, isn't it? Comes in the target line, coming back up here. Again, I'm suspecting when you draw that line that we did somewhere up here should be coming. It's already poked its nose through it last night, so I suspect somewhere up here or a touch higher. Again, looking at the daily, look, the same pattern applies. Let me just clean something up here. Let's get rid of this target here. Let's get rid of that one. Excuse me. Try not to cough on the microphone, but sometimes you better cough. You got to cough. Again, the shortest target is there. Again, that's what we're looking at. I'll get rid of this other one there. We're past this stuff for now. Okay, so I'm expecting it, like I said, back up here somewhere. So again, beautiful opportunity for those that want to play in long-term shorts. That's nice and quick. Gold, I haven't even looked at it all week, to be honest. Let's have a look. XAU equals, let's have a look at gold. Again, monthly, same pattern prevails. The long-term mass tail, remember? Again, the trend, again, in consolidation. Look, this is right at the tip. Something's got to give now. It's either going to break on the upside or the downside. Now, remember, if I was taking this mare's tail, I'd be continuing on down here. Didn't do it very well, but I'll clean it up later. But primarily, it's going like so and like so. Okay, this is at the end of the tail. This is the final break if it occurs. So let's really got to watch it very, very carefully now. Weekly. Again, we had that mare's tail hit its target, and we're trying to see, is this going to be the bigger one to go down? Now, if the Dow maintains on the upside, you would think this is going to come off, wouldn't you? Eh? So let's see what happens. There's no other information that we can really make any decisions on the weekly, other than the monthly saying we're at, potentially that mare's tail bit there. Trend-wise, if we take from the top here, And okay, so this is suggesting at the moment, at least anyway, on a daily, it's broke on the upside. You expect a bit more on the upside. Not saying it's going to succeed. This is only a daily, so it's not any major trend here. But we need to watch what it'll do here. If it actually makes some sort of bullish flag, then we can start targeting up, but not as yet. Okay, I wouldn't recommend it. So just watch it here. If there's a bullish flag here, then we can do a target up. If not, it'll come straight back down. So one to watch very carefully. There's nothing much we can really do about that as yet. The XJO, excuse me, it started to do exactly what the Dow's done, hasn't it, the S&P? And looking at the monthly, excuse me, look, this dotted line is the long-term trend line here, isn't it? Going back to 2009, you can see it's continually coming back above it, as we can see here. So it's telling us it really does want to consolidate. If this breaks below, then the XJO is in big trouble, okay? Big trouble. At this point, if it breaks, it could be totally disastrous for us. In fact, you'd be looking down here at least, okay? It'll be another around 1,000 points down, if not lower. So if it actually goes back to around here and repositions itself, I'd be more comfortable. So I'm still sticking by that rally. I wouldn't be going on the long side unless I maybe trade it intraday and there's a bullish flag, or we get a bullish daily flag or something like that. Okay. What the worrying probably is here, all right? What's this pattern here? Now, I hope I'm not wrong, of course. I hope it does actually has the rally back up, because what we got here is this, all right? Now, if this keeps consolidating in this area here, then maybe it will not rally up and continue on the way down based on what I'm looking at. But for those that are looking long term, if that happens, we got a major downturn, because basically your target, and I'm going to show you what it could be. I'm not saying this is what it's going to be, so don't panic. You really need to go down, because this could break on the upside. This is what I'm really counting on, because this is also a head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, and it really hasn't came back up to like a proper thing to test this, you know, neckline at this bit. It didn't do it. So I'm hoping that's what it would do here, just a very much delayed. However, if this breaks on the downside, then I think we're really going to be going down those areas down there, okay, down the 4,300, but I think it's going to go lower, but that's what I would suspect it would happen. So you need to be really, really careful and look at the stocks that you've got and how they're shaping up. So if you see this breakout on the downside, and remember, the top 50 stocks, in fact, the top 20 stocks pretty much, I think, make about 70-80% of the XJO anyway. Okay, I'll just remove that for now. So a lot of careful here. Really, you got to watch it. Again, this is what we were looking at when we look at the weekly. This is what we're looking at here when I zoom in into the daily. And as you can see, what I'm counting on, this like the Dow break on the upside. All right, because I'll do two targets at the moment as trading a little symmetrical triangle. The short target is pretty much from here to the upside. And of course, if it breaks on the downside, and I'm only estimating, I'll put auto size on so you can see, down to these levels here. Okay, so I don't know which way it's going to break. All right, I'm betting really look what the Dow has done. And if the Dow has another run to the upside tonight, or goes another 40, 50 points, I suspect we will be above that. Okay, then at least gives us that confidence that, you know, yes, we can start heading there, consolidation. And I tell you, I'd be looking this saying, where do I short? Okay, that's the one I'd be looking if it goes to here. That's me, not personal advice, but that's what I'd be doing. That's what I'd be looking to do. Okay, now this line here, I'll just extend it. You can see it's going to be one of its resistance points, obviously. Okay, this is not a huge one, but it is a small sandwich. In other words, support, support, resistance, and again, this will be resistance at this point. You want to set break above there. That's what I'm saying. Anything you do on the upside, I think it's very limited. I'd be looking personally for positions to get a best possible short. That's me, okay? And that's the daily on the XJO. Now, I've got a number of stocks to do. Then I've got the Aussie dollar. I've been asked to do the British pound Aussie, and I'm assuming the person that asked me that wants me to go down to intraday data, which I will. And of course the Aussie dollar Japanese also. I'll be looking at that. No worries, Alan. Okay, let's go first. Stocks, ANZ. Okay, ANZ. Let's look at the monthly. Again, look, fantastic rising wedge. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comfortably, 6 and a break. So call it 5 anyway if you want to be conservative. On the top you got, 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much 5 touches, okay? So this is serious. Realistically, on a rising wedge, I mean, nothing compared to this one here, obviously, the older one. But we're looking at this, and really, I would suspect it'll actually go to this support line. Okay, the next rundown, I would suspect it would go there. Again, I'm expecting a bit of consolidation on the upside. Maybe it'll come back to around the top levels there. I'll just get the crosshair just to demonstrate. Look, I suspect it'll come to maybe anywhere in the middle to there. That's why I'm suspecting, and that's why I'll be looking, where do I take the next short position? I'll put the tools values back on, turn them off. Okay, so that's what the monthly is telling me. It's already broken down. Rising wedges, as we've been saying for how long when they were being built, so to speak, or traded to make those patterns, we've been saying a rising wedge is a top. Okay, now you can't say it's a major downturn till it starts. However, it is a top to say top down, sideways to down. That's what you normally would call. But more likely, usually they'd come down, as we've demonstrated on this one in the past. So as this stands, we're saying this is pretty much top to heading down. I'm suspecting it'll go there. Can it go all the way down to here? Absolutely, because that's the target out of this rising wedge, okay, down to $18, $19. Now, again, I would suspect for those that are looking long term, but they get in the dividend, they really don't want to sell the stock. You know what? If it comes back up here, have a look and see if you can maybe get a long dated put option so you can hedge it. All right. Make sure you don't pay too much for it. Do your homework, and basically, at least that way, if the share starts to take a hit to the downside in any big time, well, you know what? That's fine. You're making money on the option. That it's making the difference. So yes, you can get a lower price on the share, but you know what? You make the difference on the option. Again, not personal advice. I don't know your personal circumstance, and I need to stress that out. I'm asked what I would do on long term. If I'm holding the stock for dividend and I want that dividend, I don't want to pay any capital gains or anything like that. I would look in basically hedging my bet, taking long dated options out, 9, 12 months out after it gets to those levels, because I think any major downturn, something tells me it's going to be sometime early next year. I hope it does. It's not much earlier, to be honest with you, because if you look what's happening, unless some really bad data comes out and triggers it, well, that's another story. But something's telling me if the US is going to not do anything with interest rate till late this year, early next year, I think the market should, no, not saying it will, but it should, you would think, continue to the upside before to any downside. Going to the weekly, that pretty much reinforces. Also, we did a sandwich here, touch, sandwiched in here, touch there, and sure enough, the price is consolidating in there. Now, there's a good chance this could run as high as that if we're lucky, okay, if we're lucky. And wouldn't that be fantastic if it is? Because, again, I'd be all over it. I'd be looking for a short position because it's been all the way down to, below 27. If it goes back up to around, $30, $31, I'd be looking, fantastic. That's the first thing I'll be saying. Now, this target is off this head and shoulder. Shoulder, shoulder, head, okay? Again, you look at this line here and you look, not all this line, but just look at from this point to there, that is a horn, a large horn. So that basically, again, represents a top. Now, because it's at the bottom of the horn, you would hope it actually will rally up here before it does anything else. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking for news for that. So I'll look at my daily chart, and I can see, again, look, let me just draw. I'm betting this is the case there, probably there. So if this holds and starts its move up, fantastic, means, yes, this gap can close. Okay, so the gap would be, we're not getting this gap for now, so it's going to be long term, not going to happen anytime soon, but primarily it's, look at this gap here. So I would hope it come in there. Again, because it is where it is, okay? It just is where it is. So just hope it comes into here so we can start positioning again. Now, that's ANZ. What are we expecting? I'm doing all the banks here I've been asked to do. So do you think it's going to be any more much different in all the banks? I mean, there'll be some differences, but, is there going to be a huge amount of difference? Let's look at the monthly on CBA. Again, look, we didn't quite hit the target. That's from there. So actually, I think we did hit a pennant target, however, there. Yeah, the pennant we actually hit. I'll get rid of it now. But we didn't hit that one off this, which is the first point of a rising wedge. Now, again, if we get the run back up here, back to near the pennant, or back towards the rising wedge, although this has broken below the rising wedge and retested it, so that confirmed a retest. So how much can this go up? Can it go back to around 75 to 79? I don't know. It'd be nice if it does, because if this goes, it does what ANZ did. See, again, this is like a horn. It goes up like a horn, and again from here going down to support. That would be utterly fantastic if from a trader's perspective, this goes up here. What a fall to $50 or so, or just above $50. That would be awesome from a trader's perspective, that is. Okay. So I would be watching it very, very carefully. Again, I'd be looking more to maybe the middle to the above the middle here and see where it goes. But obviously I'd use weekly and daily to get a better gauge of all this, because what we're looking at is a head and shoulder. And guess what? We haven't had a retest. Okay. There's the neckline. Actually, I need to get rid of that line there. Oh, that's the main trend line, by the way. I better leave that there just for now. It's broken that main trend line back above, but this is the neckline. And yes, it can come and retest it to here. And that just reconfirms what we said. If it goes and retests it and stays up here, because this is, look, the down line, and that comes back to these, between these 2 points. In other words, there might be a number of weeks up here, because if we look at the distance, I don't know, is it going to give us timing here? To here, let's say. No, we're not getting it. I don't know why. I used to get the data how many weeks is apart, but I'm not getting it at the moment. Sad. But what that basically tells us, that we can see roughly how many weeks to get up there. Now, just by gauging it, you look at the distance here to that green candle. It's 5 bars. So that's 5 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6 weeks. I didn't know. So if it does another 6 weeks, what does it put us? Pretty much November, doesn't it? End of November or middle of November. So was it September? What am I saying? October, middle of October. My apologies. So if they start doing anything, it might be November. If you stretch it longer, which has probably got here, if that's 6 weeks, that might be probably 8, 9 weeks there to that point. So it brings it to December, where potentially they can make a decision. So our belief is that if it actually makes no decision, which that's what we believe will happen this Friday, so they'll leave interest rates what they are in the US, we believe that that will probably go for the next 8 weeks, pretty much in limbo. I'd be surprised if it does anything else. So I would suspect, just looking at this, what pattern it's going to make here. Is it going to be a pennant? This is one thing we have to watch very carefully, just in case it is, because that would be like so. Now, all I've got really is this. I really don't have anything here. If I had something here, I can do this by all means, but I'm just twitching, sort of drawing things that are not there. So if this was the case, then I'd have a huge fall. So I'm betting that this line, even though I've got that on the top, we don't really have that as yet. This is pretty much pretty flat. Okay, so I don't believe anything will happen yet, although it's a bearish market as far as I'm concerned. I just want to make that pretty clear. All right, so let's go to daily. And again, that line that we were doing on the weekly, which is really from up here, like there it is there. I've got nothing here. I mean, yeah, on the daily I can do this. Okay. Again, I would bet that this should break to the upside. And again, clear these gaps, and we've got potentially can go as high as this, potentially, closing some of these gaps. So that's the way I'd be looking at it. What else? From here, just do that. That's one thing I'd be watching this point here very carefully. If it goes above there, then again, looking at this level here. So long term, I'm very bearish, as I've been saying this for many months. It's not something that I'd be holding to go long. I'll be looking for where do I short. Not personal advice again. I cannot stress that enough. National Australia Bank. Okay. Back on the trend. So we're back inside this. Not too much on the monthly other than the trend line here, and it's holding inside the trend line. Again, we'll go to the weekly. I think will give us more data than the monthly at the moment. Again, this is more of a head and shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline. I'd say rallying back towards the neckline. I'll remove some lines just to clean it up a little bit. And where are we here? Like that. Again, this is a horn. Horn is very bearish. We're at the bottom of the horn line, so I suspect this will rally to around this level here. I'll delete this line actually at the moment, not necessary, unless it goes past the previous line. So the longer term trend line's down here. On the horn, I would say again, resistance at this point, and that probably line up as we were looking at the rest of the banks. I'll go to the daily. It should show exactly the same thing anyway. Again, head and shoulders. On the daily, we've still got that. Oh, not very good actually on this one. Just delete that. It's too sharp. Like so. It doesn't give us any more than that. Breaking that, again, consolidation. The difference is this doesn't show that it's got a huge amount of upside. It doesn't show it. We had the flag here that gave us a down target, which from memory, I think it actually did meet. The price target from down there, this pattern was, yep, right on it. So I can understand why it's consolidating. And really, again, on this one, long-term down, short-term consolidation to a little bit up. That's about all we can say with NAB. Westpac. Oh, what did I do there? WBC. Pretty much the same, aren't they? I mean, there's your trend line. Actually, that is a bearish flag that it broke below. And did we get a target? I think that is the target from that from memory. Yeah, it's the target. I can see it there. The monthly doesn't give me more than that at the moment that I can see. I'll go to the weekly. Weekly again is telling me a horn, which is again a top pattern. We can see pretty much head and shoulders again, shoulder, head, shoulder, and I think we can definitely draw that in. Actually, can we clone that? Just curious at the moment. It might be a bearish flag. Oh, that's really good, isn't it? So I need to watch this if this is going to eventuate to a bearish flag and see how we go with that. Clone. Well, that if it goes down the downside, that's what we're looking at as a small channel inside the horn pattern. Go to daily. They're not looking good, are they? Something like that. Clone. Not good. I'll remove that. I think that's all we can put at the bottom, actually, at the moment. I'm just trying to see if I can do that, but no, I'm cutting back. I really can't do anything on this one at this point. It's consolidation. Really, this head, shoulders, shoulder. So it's a head and shoulder. It's broken below, but it hasn't gone all the way down. It actually consolidated. So I think we just need to wait and see what it does next. Again, the pattern, as we're looking at on the monthly, it's basically broken down from a rising wedge, so it's topped out. I really, if I was holding that, I'll look for an opportunity to either get out, or if I wanted to hold my stock for whatever reason, I'd look to lock in, say, some put options or something like that. I would use a derivative to hold it so I can, at least if I lose on any capital on the downside, I'd make it up on my option. And that's Westpac. Next one is IAG. Well, it really hasn't done any more than what we said last time. If you look at the monthly, shoulder, head and shoulder, head and shoulders. Here's a pennant. There's the targets. So we're expecting it as low as $4.33. I mean, we've done this how many weeks ago? So I would just hold the same position. I'm not altering in any way. I'll just get rid of this from now. Looking at the weekly, we can see head and shoulders. We can see 1, 2, triple top here. So they're all top patterns. This is the target. So I'd be literally looking at the opportunity to short it further. If we see any rally up, I'd be looking for a position. Where do I short from? Again, long term, this is finished. It's to the downside. How long is it going to be down there? I honestly don't know. I hope I mean, we've been on a growth path, as politicians are happy to say, for the past, 25 years. We haven't had any negative growth. Well, that's 25 years. I suspect we might get negative growth next year. Now, if there's anything to go by, we tend to run between 6 to 12 months behind Canada. Now, Canada's gone into recession, okay, negative growth. So they're in recession now. So I suspect, and the way China is going at the moment, I suspect we probably get negative growth, so we're probably going to recession sometime next year. So what would these stocks do? So I'd be looking to take advantage, I keep saying, for a downfall, and then be very, very patient, have a holiday, go away, have a holiday, and look at which is high quality stocks, which stocks will have growth. You know, is mining going to bounce back? I don't know. Is it going to be many years? I don't know. So, but I'd start looking for major reversal patterns, as we are looking here, reversal patterns off the top. I'll be looking for major reversal patterns for the bottom. And I'll be very, very patient. and then I'll look for long-term growth after that and trading. Now, that's what I would do. Okay, so this is the weekly, so let's go to the daily. Now, looking at this, to me, this is bearish, and that's a pennant. It's broken below. It's come back up there. If this doesn't rally, I'll qualify this. If it actually rallies, it'd be nice to see it between here and here. And if we're extremely, extremely lucky, we might see it there. Most likely, unlikely, not on this time, but it'd be nice to see it up here. Now, there's a chance, again, if the banks actually rally a little bit to the upside, if we see a continuation, it'd be nice to see it up there. Again, what I would be looking at is I'm not interested in making money on the rally. I'm interested in positioning on the short. That's the way I'd be looking at it. So, sorry if I sound negative, but I've been trying to be as negative as possible now for a very long time. But again, as I said, long term, the upside's over, literally week after week. Now, TLS. If we look at the monthly again, now I've been asked almost this for every week now for the past how many weeks, so monthly ain't going to change. But look, there's down targets already with this down to 525, so there's no point even for me to add any more because the price is still around the 550 mark or so, so there's more to go down on the monthly. Let's go and look at the weekly. We can see on the weekly prices, you know what, down to $4.80. So there's a lot more to go down. There's where it targets. How many weeks ago we did this? When he broke out of here, we said that's the first target, that's the second target. Well, it hasn't changed. I'm still on the same view. The thing is, what you've got to look at this huge run up, okay? And look at that. This is a broad information. Do yourself a favor, go and have a look at gold. In fact, you know what? I might just do it for you just to show you something. What the heck? Let me just go to gold again, just to show you what I meant. Let me put XAU equals. Okay, I want to show you. Does this look familiar? But this one's holding so bloody well. But look at it. All right. So that's what I brought, and this is the price target of gold down to 972. Okay, I'll go back to Telstra. Okay, so on the weekly, as we can see, I'll just punch that up again. We can see a huge broadening formation. Okay, huge broadening formation, and the thing is, this has reacted better than gold even has. And again, my target, regardless if we have a bit of a rally on the upside, this is our target. I wouldn't consider anything. If this rallies up, if I was happy with that type of return, I'll look, where do I short? That's the way I'd be looking at it. On the daily, again, what I like about this is, if we look at this, whoops, wrong one there. Needed to get the trend line. See, I look at that, and I look at that. Okay, this is why I'm hoping we're going to get a rally. Okay, technically, when you see like a little wedge like this, it's nice that you'll get an upsided rally here. So I'm hoping we're going to get a rally to appear somewhere, because then again, that's an opportunity for another short. Okay. Again, this is a rising wedge. You see, rising wedge. A broadening formation, and you can see what happens there. Okay, and it just took a while, but here she goes down. Down she goes. So I would look again for an opportunity of this. Where do I short? WPL. Wow, this has done really well, isn't it? That's met our targets beautifully. Again, there is a lower target to come, and it's got a bit to go. We're currently sitting at, where are we sitting at the moment? Well, I mean, we're actually at about 29.65. We've been as low as 27 or so dollars. We came pretty close to our target, but I still stand by it. I think it's going to hit. So I expect it to go down there. That was the other targets of mare's tail. So that's hit. Was there any others? Auto? No, it's on auto size. So no, that's hit. Let's look at the daily. There's nothing more I can do on the weekly actually. So let's have a look on that. It really doesn't give me anything. Okay, it'd be nice to see it rally up there, but would I go short on this? I honestly don't know. At that point, I think there's so many other nicer looking ones that I think twice about it. So I don't know yet. Although I know we've got oil, I think we got it down to about 36 bucks. I think it should go down to, from memory. But there's nothing more I can really do with this one yet. NCM. Oops. NCM. Well, out of this pattern, we hit our target, and down she goes ever since. There's nothing. Look, the long-term trend is still not the best here, actually, but still not the best. Am I missing something? But if I clone. Okay, so it's in a small channel. I'd be watching it carefully here. Is it making a bearish flag? Clone that. Okay, is it making a bearish flag there? Well, monthly doesn't give me any more than that, so potentially it could be a bearish flag, and if it does, we're going to see it down this trend line. Well, again, that's what we've drawn before. So if this breaks to the downside, we'll be looking at lower. We've got it in place, so we really can't do any more than that. Anyone that wanted to trade that, I would just set an alert on breaking of this line. So you can set up an alert and say, okay. Now, for those that cannot remember how to do that, I'll just go back to a straight arrow. It's like if you wanted to set an alert on this trend line here, you can highlight it, right-click your mouse, set an alert. See the menu there, set an alert. And you can make a note if you like, and you say within a percentage of the line, or you can put a value of, because this is in cents, within 2 cents, when it gets within 2 cents of the line, and the alert will go off. So for those that are not sure, they can actually set alerts up also on trend lines and support lines and so forth. Okay, there's nothing more I can really do with that. So I just leave it alone. I'll just get rid of this little bit here up the top. On the daily chart, now, we're actually cutting candles there. I'm not too happy with that. Okay, there. Now, what we can see, this has broken above that. Now, realistically, normally, if you can target out of channels, by the way, but what you would do is you go to where the last touch has occurred, go to where the top channel touched last, and you go to where it broke out from, and technically should actually rally to around the $13 mark. All right. So that's what the target is, and that stands. But again, I wouldn't be looking to trade it to the long side. I'll be looking, if it gets there and starts giving me a bearish pattern, is where do I start shorting? That's the way I'd be looking at that one. And that's NCM. So for those that want to short NCM, if it rallies up there, that's what I'd be looking at. Because looking at the weekly it's really at the top where a bearish flag is forming. That's the way. So If it goes much higher, who knows what will be there. All right, not the cleanest. Next one is NST. Northern Star News. Not a huge amount of data here. That's got 1, 2 touches really. That's all it's got. Now normally we like to see at least 3. Okay. Interestingly, if I clone this, is this a bullish flag? I don't know what Northern Star does, by the way, so I couldn't comment on it. But normally to target up, it tells us potentially this can go to $6, which I find that a little bit difficult. But anyway, however, any upside, you only trade to this line. You don't go past there. Even though the potential is that high, I would only trade to that level. Now, remember, this is a bullish flag, but it has not broken to the upside, and it's a monthly chart. Okay, so the only time you're going to know it's broken to the upside is based on the close of this month. Okay, so I don't want to leave the wrong impression. I'm not saying it's going to go there, because when you look at the whole of the market, yes, there's some upside, but you know, it's more upside than let's see how we short. So I don't want to sort of say, someone says, yeah, but you said it's going to go there. I did not say it's going to go there. Potentially has this upside, but there's a brick wall right here if it manages to go that high. Now, from there to there, it's probably $4, and you're currently sitting at probably $2.40 or so, I think. Where's my crosshair? $2.30 or so, $2.34 or so, yeah. So potentially can go to maybe under $4, or in fact, if you went straight up, it'll actually be around $3.60, all right? So that's if it actually trends, and while the rest of the market falls, let's say this somehow keeps going up. It is possible. I'm not saying it's not. I'll leave that there, but I need to qualify that. And that's what we're looking at. And realistically, you can do a secondary target here. In other words, we have consolidation like so. Okay, we have consolidation on the top. Actually, I'll get rid of that and extend the other one. I'll just extend that. Like so. So ideally, you want to see it break above this dotted line and close above this dotted line, and then you can actually target to that level there, which is more realistic than the other one. So whoever's got that, if this moves to there, breaks above and closes above there, I would suspect that's where the target is going to be, not the $6 mark. Okay, that's overly optimistic, possibly, but overly optimistic. If we go to the daily, and we do that, and we get rid of this for starters. It's way past its use by date, and I'll clone that. We can see we're in a channel. Okay, now we can actually target out of a channel as long as it stays and closes above there this week. It'll be fantastic, which is tomorrow this week. So we can then go like so to the breaking point, and voila, we're looking around the $2.80 to close to $2.90, which reinforces our weekly target, and the monthly, of course, if it breaks through all that. So this instrument, this stock, basically is suggesting this is going to be an up move. Now, if the rest of the market goes up and halts to a rally, it'll be fantastic for it. Next one is CCL. Monthly. We originally had a potential bullish flag, and you can see never eventuated. It fell apart. So we need to remove these. We originally hit the target down here. And what we have now, from up here to there, and can we clone this? Let's have a look. Well, clone anything you like, but we have a potential channel, not the cleanest because we only got two touches quite close by here, but it's still valid. But again, if I had to give it a probability weighting of success, I'd only give it around 65%. Okay, where the top is two solid touches. Okay, and they fair distance apart, better distributed. But what this is telling us that it has below, but as you can see from this previous low, even though it went a touch low, it didn't stay very long, it recovered very quickly. So it's telling us this is a potential consolidation spot already, just by those actions that it's actually demonstrated. Going to the weekly, we can see out of the head and shoulders, this inverse head and shoulders, we hit a target. So it's done what it's supposed to. Now, what is it telling us? It's also telling us, be careful here, this might be a bearish flag. Now, we don't know yet. We have to wait and see. But if this turns red next week or tomorrow and starts breaking below, well, then we have a target down. The target, the pole is here. Okay, I'll do the target, but then I'll remove it because there's no real sign on it yet, okay? We're talking down to that level, which is a lower low, okay? Then more bearish. I'll get rid of that now. But it's demonstrating that it could have a potential bearish target here, okay? Now, interestingly also, if we extend this line by observation, actually, no, I was wrong. I thought it might actually came right on here. And actually, let's just test one more thing. And maybe I will. Oh, there you go. It does work. So what I've done is I went to the previous high, and I'm not cutting any bodies. I just cut really one decent sized wick and one a little bit. But what I did do is touched there, which is solid. So this is support. I can see why it stopped there. Now, if this breaks to the downside because of this line, be careful. It could actually fail on this line also. So if you take a trade, you've got to be quick and watch it very carefully just in case it reverses. That's all. Looking on the daily, we can see from the daily again. Wrong one I clicked. Clone. Okay, that's what we basically did on the weekly. In addition, what have we got in addition here? We had a head and shoulders here. Actually, no, it wasn't very good, actually, was it? But what we might have from here across to here. I wonder how well that would qualify for head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. It's not the best, but it's one to watch. So therefore, if this rallies up to this area here, we could have a huge down target. I wouldn't go and jump on it straight away. I just want to personally study it, and I'll have more to say in the coming weeks. But I need to study this one a bit more. But potentially it could be. Basically, that big thing that we're looking at, when you look at the weekly, we're looking at head, shoulder, shoulder, okay? Not too bad, which is in the opposite, shoulder, head, shoulder. That gave us a target. Now shoulder, head, shoulder, which is not bad, but probably 65%. It'd be nice if this side was like this side. It'd be fantastic. But if this breaks and goes below, I would definitely be using it. Okay? I would definitely be using it. Just needs to think about it a little bit more, I think. that's CCL. Now I've got one more stock to do. It's IPL. Then I'll do some currency. Okay, interesting. Monthly. Potential bullish flag. But we'll have to wait and see. But it's a potential bullish flag. In a small channel. Just wondering here. And I'll remove this one. Maybe if I'm down the bottom. Actually, I just want to get rid of this crosshairs trying to hit the wall. Suppose you can leave it there, but not that you can do anything with it. So what this is telling us, hit a target. We're inside a channel, a little channel, which in turn, when you look at the monthly, this is actually a flag on the monthly, but we're in the channel on the weekly, a small channel. If it breaks to the upside and closes above, the way we target it is from the bottom of this channel to the touch of the top of the next channel. Oops, actually it's just here, I did a mistake there. My apologies, how will I kill this off? Start again. Didn't see that as a... Oh no, it wasn't, I didn't do it correctly. My apologies again. Target, and breakout. So if you're looking around the 450, 470, if it breaks and closes above that, that's still its up target. Now, also, let's have a look for a minute if there's any downside to this. Maybe like that. It's what it's telling me. This might be heading towards a broadening formation. So it's broadening out at the same time, but it's still within this target range. Okay, let's have a look at the daily. Well, what we can see is a bullish flag with an up target. That's its target on the upside. Now, just one thing. I'm going to just check this out. I can see why it failed there, you see. That's its point of resistance. Now, obviously, if you're not in or if you're in the stock at the moment, you might want to wait and see if it's going to close above that. But if it doesn't, I'll be getting the hell out of there because that's its resistance point. Okay? So that'll be its resistance point. If we clone this line, can we get a channel? Oh, wrong one. Didn't clone then. No, it's not quite. We're cutting candles here, but the bodies they're actually on the upside, so it's not too bad. Oops, minimize. There. So we are in the channel, and again we hit this brick wall. So if anyone was to, if you're in the stock, I'd hold it still, but if it starts to fail, it means we're at the top of this channel, and we'll be more to downside than anything else. And that's IPL. Now, Aussie dollar on its own first. AUD. Oops. So you do equals. Okay. Look, last week I've actually added one more line to this chart. It's this big line here. It goes right across. Now, basically it's a sandwich. From here, support, support. On the opposite, sorry, resistance, resistance, support. And then we've got support, so it's locked in, sandwiched in. I'm not cutting any candles, only tails. Okay, so this, I didn't see this, I should have realized it last week, but we did say we are at the bottoms because we hit a target anyway on the Aussie dollar. We had a target, I think, was 69 and 5 pips or something or other. Anyway, we hit the target, as we'll see shortly, but this is on a major consolidation phase. Now, the only reason I've left this line here is to see if there's any resistance, nothing else, okay? Or else I will have removed it already. I want to see if there's any, if it's going to hit a brick wall or do something based on that, no more than that. I think this line can probably go for now and might have to be introduced after we pass this line. Okay, so I'll leave that alone like that for now, but I might have to bring it in if the price keeps going up. Now, the trend, long-term trend line is a distorted line, and we can see we're a bit below this particular trend line, and that's a huge, in fact, just double check this quarterly. That's basically a longer one down the bottom here that I was looking at. I'll go back to monthly. Okay, so we need to look very carefully here that what actually happens at this point. I see a lot of consolidation going to happen here. I really do. Weekly, we've hit our target that we said last time, 69 and 15 pips. My apologies. I thought it was 5 pips, but 69 and 15 pips. We hit that target, so I would see consolidation. I see targets potentially going all the way. In fact, we probably have to extend this line a little bit. There's going to be a lot of multiple brick walls and so forth. That's where we are now, but then there's the next spot here. There's really nothing more we can really add to this weekly. On the daily, all right, it's in that channel. We hit the target, and if this closes above, okay, if this closes above, this week above here on the daily, it closes above, we technically, we can do a target from here all the way to up here to its breaking point, and we're looking back to around 76 cents. Now, remember what we did on the weekly? We got all those, resistance points. Well, you got to look what happens as it travels to there. All right, so that could stop it. But potentially out of this pattern, it can go that high. But you need to consider, go back to the weekly, you need to consider there's one brick wall. There's another brick wall. Remember, 76 is up here. Okay, then going right across this at 75, 69 is another brick wall. Okay, there's all this. Now, we can further, now let's look at the daily intraday. This is the intraday that we're looking at. Okay, remember last time we did a target, it's around 72? Well, we're there, aren't we? That was last week we did that. I think it was last week, was it? When did I do it? I can't remember now. Or is it somebody rang me and asked me if I can do it for them? I just cannot recollect. So basically what we're looking at, it hit that target, took longer to get there. If we extend the line as a trend, we can see if it actually clones. We're at the top of a channel. So in fact, this one is more relevant now. And from this point, we are getting into a little rising wedge at the moment. Okay, so don't expect it on any straight line it's going to go all the way up, but primarily it started, it's consolidating. As we said last fortnight, I see consolidations here. I think the consolidations are going to take a lot longer and take more time, and I don't think we're going to see much lower prices anytime soon. Now, what happens when the US puts their interest rates up? I don't know. I would suspect, it probably signaled the end of ours. How everybody's thinking, maybe we've got one more downturn to go. So that's the way I'd be looking at it. Look, if you're really trading the Aussie dollar, this is a 60-minute. Look what we got here, right? We got flag there. We had a flag here. Look, these are all trades you could have done, okay? Flag there. Look, if I was trading, I would have picked up money. How many of them, There's there, all right? But you would have drawn a line from here as a line of resistance, all right? From here, I would have done that also, like that, initially. Right. So when I do a target, this might hit a brick wall here. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I would have looked at it. So be careful with that. Now, I'll go and do the next one, which is basically British pound Aussie dollar, which is GBPAUD equal sign, then the letter R, for those that are not familiar with it. And this is the British pound US dollar. I haven't looked at this for ages. I'll come back to that. Now, let's look at the monthly. Look, for those doing the patterns, you can see here we had a target. Because we're using the tail, we can only go to the body. There's your target. We're there. You should look to, if you're looking at a monthly, you got to start saying, you know what, monthly target, probably consolidation here. Clone, maybe. Just leave it like that. It's only got one touch, by the way, so it's not really valid. But when you start looking at the weekly, look, patterns everywhere on this thing here. If this is a bullish flag on a weekly, by the way, and remember, it's got to break above before we can confirm this, but you'd be looking at the next move up to around there on a weekly basis. Also, let's just have a look at this a little bit. Take this, clone, and what we might see. Now, this point, which is the same line, just cloning this line, putting it there, right? That's what I'm doing. So basically what it's telling us, this might be support here. So yeah, this probably would rally. It's just extra weight, okay, to support it. Now let's look at the daily. It's got an accelerated trend. Now the daily, need to watch very carefully here because this might go bearish. So I need to watch very carefully if this breaks to the downside. Look, if you're looking to trade this either way, this could work beautifully. If this breaks to the downside, you're looking down to this line here. On the weekly, however, if this holds and breaks to the upside, you got up. Either way, you can actually look quite a good trade. Let's look at the intraday. Where is it? Where are you? I didn't delete it, did I? One sec. Oh, there it is there. This is the intraday. Oh, wrong one. That's telling me that. It's pretty messy on this one. Clone. Pretty messy there. Let's have a look at the 180 minute actually. Maybe I can get something better on that. Well, this is still telling me the same one, so it's the only one I really got. Short term, this technically should go up. Any brick walls that you can only put is from here like that, and they're above them. So this is really saying this has got more upside than downside. If you go and look at the weekly, as we said, if this continues up, you're looking at really huge upside. But be careful, this is the contradictory on the daily, potential bearish flag. So we'll see which one prevails at the moment, because if the daily prevails, then we have to say, you know, the weekly is going to fail. Whatever it is there, the weekly will fail. However, if the weekly prevails and this continues to go up, then there's your up target. Either way, you've got to target up. The daily, basically, the intraday says there is a little bit more upside. So let's see how we go. I can't really be more than that, other than because it's contradictory to each other at the moment. So you need to watch each pattern and see which one actually wins. Although intraday is short term up anyway. The next one is Aussie dollar Japanese yen. Oh, would have helped if I actually clicked on it. AUD JPY equals R. Well, definitely a rising wedge. You can also clone that. So we had the down target wise, and also off the two targets. I see consolidation. Looking at the monthly, we can see the withdrawals, so there's consolidation happening. And hence on the weekly, oops, wrong one. See, normally you could say even this is a reversal symmetrical triangle. The only difference is that that is not evenly distributed. That's the only downside to it. And really, that would tell you there's, oh, you already hit that one. And ideally the next target is from here, which is even lower. And there is the main target, but that's going to extreme, so you really should go only to the lowest body, to there. So that's where it really probably should be happening. Is there any others? Again, symmetrical, and the biggest one would be from here, which is again there. So I would bet it has got lower to go regardless of what's happening at the moment. Actually, consolidation. You're going to look at it from this perspective. It's a huge descending triangle, and that's probably where it hit first, and that's where it's going to hit next. No, definitely lower prices to go on this based on this pattern recognition. You can take it a step further and use this point with that, but we already hit that point. So daily, I'll go to intraday. This is 180 minutes. And what do we got here? Look, again, it's a rising wedge on an intraday. If this follows through to the downside from here, you'll be obviously looking around there and then there and so forth. That's using this pattern on a 180 minutes. You've got wonderful trades to come if this actually goes to the downside. If it breaks to the upside, different story, then it's not a rising wedge, obviously. Rising wedges are reversal patterns, but they're more for your weekly and your monthlies. However, they do occur on dailies and intradays also. Okay, so, but you need to be a bit more careful how you use them, I guess. I would like some supporting data and so forth. It has hit, I'm confident that it's hit a top here, because if we look at this pattern, we can go and we can see it's right on the target. So, yep, pattern's been hit. There's nothing else to say. Higher prices, there's a brick wall there, resistance point there. I suspect, if anything, I'd be looking on an intraday basis. Do I look for a short to the downside down to this level? There's a lot of pips there. There's, what, over 100 odd pips, I think, or 70 pips at least. If there's an intraday 60-minute or 20, 30-minute chart you can come up with there. So that's the way I'd be looking at it. I might even drop it to 30 minutes, just curious than anything else. So there we go. Oh, yep, yeah, there you go. Sure. Nice way. So, okay, so primarily what this is telling us, if this breaks to the downside, there's the next target down. How's that? And it's also doing a horn, I think. Oh, what do you know? Straight to your target is a horn. So for those that are interested in a trade, this one's worth watching. This is a 30-minute chart, so potentially that we can have a down trade down to around, what is it, 40 odd pips as a trade to start off with and go from there. Now, that's pretty much it, folks. I hope I covered everything well enough for everybody. Somebody asked a question, sorry I didn't see that. Where'd that come from? 1 second. Oh, yes, I am with you on the 180-minute rising wedge, going to Japan next week and hedging at 95 a while back to pay for a trip sort off. Good luck to you, Alan. Yeah, so I hope it's been worthwhile. Look, if I see anything that's worthwhile, I'll try to do something and let everybody know. It's been a little difficult. I'm doing a few other things at the moment, and I'm trying to accommodate everything as I can at the moment, so I apologize. But if I see anything that really needs to be addressed urgently, I will email everybody for a webinar earlier on short notice. So good luck with everything trading. Please don't do anything stupid. Really do take your time. All right? Don't be in a rush or in a hurry for anything. See the trades. It's like this here, Look, I cannot stress enough. Look, it's like this. What a beautiful flag if you're watching. Look, even a smaller one just there, a little pennant. And your target, don't be in a hurry. There's your target, bring it across, Maybe you want to get out just a little bit before that, even though this hit on your target. It doesn't matter, Just don't be greedy and take your time, take the trade. There's plenty of opportunities. Just have the patience, set an alert. When you see an alarm, the line, just highlight the line, just put it on there, highlight the line, set an alert, and you can actually let the program tell you when there's something going to happen. So you're not stuck in front of a computer all the time, So anyway, enough of my rambling. I wish you all great trading. Be careful. These are volatile times. My long-term view, it's down. I keep saying that all the time. All you do is for the upside is look for opportunity to the downside. That's all I'm saying to you. Not personal advice. I cannot stress that enough. So all the best. God bless. Enjoy your trading. Good evening.